Hello everyone, I'm having a conversation with Anthony Keaton, otherwise known as Damion Rayne, of the Angry Joe Show Army Forum. This is kind of a bit of a belated response to a bit of a kerfuffle that happened a week or so ago with V. Monroe criticising the policy of Joe's forum, which I don't believe Joe is directly in control of. I'm sure it's his admins that do that. They'd had a 40-page thread on Gamergate, and it came to the end where they decided that for whatever reason the thread was no longer useful. It was probably descending into slagging or something, I don't know, I didn't see it. And so they closed it. And this had caused V. Monroe to make his video criticizing Joe personally, which I don't think was the correct thing to do. And then Total Biscuit saw the video and he criticized V. Monroe directly, which I don't agree with either. And so we find ourselves with Joe putting a massive post on his forum saying the basics of it. What has this really got to do with me? Which I think is a good question. And so, yeah, I thought I'd invite. I invited Joe, but he didn't respond. So I've invited Anthony here to talk about, well, anything he wants with me, really. But to talk about the kerfuffle, and hopefully we can just chat and just see where the two camps lie, see what the problems are. Because I don't really see why there should be any. I personally have got absolutely no problem with Joe. I've been a subscriber and fan of his for a while. Especially that Rome 2 review, seriously. I mean, what needed to be said that he didn't say? So I don't really understand why anyone would need to have a go at Joe, but conversely, I don't think TB was in the right going at V. Monroe, but then I can, I understand they're friends, so I can understand why he'd be offensive, and he may well not enjoy V. Monroe's work. So, anyway, Anthony, or Damion, what do you want to call you?
I'd prefer Damion.
Sorry, I didn't think I should have checked that before. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. As well as to be expected, I suppose.
Good. So, would you want to tell us about the Angry Joe Show Army Forum?
Yeah, for those that don't know, we are a gaming community that was started and sponsored by Joe, and supported by Joe, and obviously we're trying to be basically just a full-on gaming community for gamers by gamers, and that basically means that we just want gaming-related stuff on the website, and so we are offering a lot of servers now, thanks to our transition to a new server provider, VLayer. We've got about 7 or 8 servers up and running, from 7 Days to Die to Insurgency, Counter-Strike Go, Arma 3, Space Engineers, Chivalry, etc. that people can have servers and the like, and a bunch of other different stuff. And just for some information for people that say that it's not readily apparent that Joe is not a part of the AJSA, if you see Join Now, our rules and code of conduct states it. And I don't believe the mission statement really says it so much in any direct words, but it basically does say that we are a gaming community, and it's not just about Joe, and we don't want just pure fans to come. We want people that want to be a part of a gaming community to come and do that, be a part of a gaming community.
Okay, so, I think it's fair enough. I didn't think that. I thought that directly criticizing Joe for anything that had gone on the forums was probably a bit unfair anyway.
It was not only unfair, I personally, and this is my own very personal opinion, think it was childish. Because, Joe's Joe, and Joe does his show, and he put all the money and time and effort into the community, and we run it. So, if people are expecting Joe to be part of the community 24/7 while he spends, 60 hours a week doing videos, then they're expecting a bit too much, and we've never pushed that expectation. So I don't know where people got it from that Joe's supposed to be there all the time, because it's just not true.
I think in V's defense, he did actually post a retraction video saying that he'd been unfair and he'd made a mistake. So
he did, yes.
Yeah, so I hopefully everyone came out of that realizing that maybe we'd gone off a bit, maybe it'd gone off a bit half-cocked. But I just speak in people's defence. It's been quite rough being part of Gamergate recently.
Yeah,
So,
it has. From what I've seen.
Yeah, people have been very on edge, and they've been under attack from everyone, absolutely everyone, and no one is interested in giving people from Gamergate a fair shake of the stick. So I can understand why it happened, but I don't think that it necessarily should have done, and I think that it's been politely resolved as gentlemen, which I think is really good. Do you think so, or am I misrepresenting that?
I think everything is pretty well settled. I mean, I myself was neither pro nor anti, but I did have, I will admit, more leanings toward anti-Gamergate because of having to deal with all the crap and nonsense on the forums over a period of a few months. But having a conversation with V and having him show me what Gamergate was really about, I still don't like. I made a post in the news section of our forums where people had been asking me, where do I get my gaming news from, and it's the editor's choice for gaming news. I'll link it to you. Right here. There we go. That's and you can see that it's like Tech Raptor, Niche Gamer, Us Gamer, Good Gamers, Escapist, Metal Eater, The Matani, and Angry Gamer. Those are just a few, but it was more about being sort of transparent and where I get.
Definitely the better ones. I'll tweet that out so people can get that.
Awesome, good stuff.
Yes, afterwards. Sorry.
No worries. But if you go to that section of the forum, you see there's about 3 pages, and I'm constantly posting stuff that is directly related to gaming news. Like, there isn't anything Gamergate related, as far as I can remember, at least in 3 pages worth of that specific forum, because I'd rather be talking about what's actually going on in the gaming area and the arena rather than the stuff that was going on with Gamergate. But as I was saying, a lot of people have managed to show me how wrong I was and how misunderstood that I was about things, talking with V and Queenie and a couple of other people. And I'm still being asked daily if I'm pro Gamergate now, and it's like, well, no, I'm neither pro nor anti, but like Joe said, I support the people within Gamergate that are doing good things and are trying to do good things, and I don't like the people within Gamergate that are just being trolls and idiots and actually have nothing of consequence or value to bring to the discussion, which unfortunately is quite a lot of people in Gamergate at the moment. So
I agree, and I don't want to necessarily defend people whose actions I wouldn't agree with. But I mean, I'm probably going to say this a lot, but people have been very much on the defense and very much attacked for standing by their convictions. So I can understand why people have been lashing out. Not that I condone it. I'm just saying that I can understand it. I just want to make a couple of points. Basically, to people in Gamergate listening, there's nothing wrong with people being neutral. In fact, it was our side that was all for that when this first started, if I recall correctly, and the social justice warriors who wouldn't let people remain neutral. Look at Boogie, for example. So I personally think that if someone wants to remain neutral, let them. I think that's a fantastic thing for them to do. It means they're just not taking a side. It's our enemies who are the absolutists. So there's no need for us to become like them. But that's just my opinion.
That is one thing from a person who wasn't involved in it coming into it, and yes, I admit that I really didn't know what was going on. And I had based my opinions entirely on the people that I had dealt with instead of doing any real digging and research into the situation. But coming into it and constantly being threatened and attacked by the people in that first chat, constantly being called things like, people in Gamergate love to use these this terminology, this lingo that nobody else outside of Gamergate fucking understands. I had no clue what an SAW was until I was told. I didn't know what a shill was until I was told. I didn't understand any of this shit. until people started coming to me and saying, like, I had to have a conversation with Queenie about it and ask her, what does shill mean? And because I didn't fucking understand it. I'm like, you guys are using lingo like, some sort of, I don't really know how to explain it, but to me it was stupid until people actually explained what these words meant and what they, their context was, etc. And now that I get it and I understand it, and I'm like, that's great, but do you really need to have all this extra lingo that people that you're trying to bring on your side don't fucking get and they don't understand? Or can you not just like talk plainly? And just, oh well, these guys are social justice warriors. How about you just call them what they are? They're fucking hypocrites. Just call them. That's what they are. That's what they are. You don't need to call them a social justice.
Way of describing them. I think that's definitely something I'd put my weight behind. If we're going to call them anything, don't call them social justice warriors. Just call them hypocrites. I like that.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. The terminology, it's like with anything. Terminology is always a barrier to new entrants. So, using terms that aren't plain English is probably going to put people off, like you said. But one of the things I'm actually a bit bothered about is that I feel like you're apologising for not being involved. Not that I'm saying that you are, but it kind of feels like you feel like you have to apologise for being out of the loop or something. And I really don't want you to feel that way, just in case you do, because it's not necessary. You haven't done anything wrong by being neutral. None of you have at all, and that's just something that I personally, for myself, wanted to put across, because I'm not in control of anyone inside GameGate or outside of GameGate, and so all I can do is apologise that these things have happened. I can see why they've happened. They're not very productive, but I can see why they've happened, and I think that we basically have come to the point where I think that the anti-Gamergate, the hypocrites, they've drawn their lines in the sand. They're anti-gamer. They're anti-fun for some reason. I'm not even joking with that. They genuinely are anti-fun, and they think that games should be like art house movies. They for some reason they seem to think that games should be like some sort of independent French cinema film or something, and they shouldn't really be fun, but they should be. You should sit there in with your tiny coffee, appreciating. Oh, this is a wonderful. How unusual this is. This is so interesting. And it's like, well, that's all well and good, but I play games to have fun, and so I don't really care how interesting or unusual these art house critics find these games. I give a damn if they're good, and there's a reason that you've got major franchises, and that's because they are good and they have been good for quite some time, which is why they're major fucking franchises.
Yeah.
And so these people, they're anti-gamer, they're anti-fun, they're anti-games, in a lot of times, and I just find them baffling, and I don't even remember where I was going with this now. I guess I'm just laying out a description of our enemy. The people who are trying to fuck up gaming.
Well, and for those that are listening, somebody brought up earlier, yes, I am the former community manager for Kerbal Space Program, former manager for a game called Legends of Aetherius, and I used to be part of the team that was developing Seed of Andromeda as the lead designer. So I have experience in the games industry. I have worked in the games industry. Before that, I was in the military. I'm a disabled vet now. I'm sure you can hear a lot of background noise. And Ari, come here, honey. Come here. For those of you that are probably wondering what all of that back noise is, it's not a dog that I'm calling. It's my daughter, by the way. So I hope people don't mind that. I have a 2.5-year-old in the background. So. Being a disabled vet, the wife works, and I'm a stay-at-home dad. So, but apparently that's because I'm a misogynistic bastard, right? The wife's off to work, and I'm staying at home playing video games, watching our child, right? So,
hang on, you haven't been criticised by these like feminist social justice warriors for that, have you? Because that's what they're asking for.
Oh, is it? No, I mean, I've had a couple of people bring it up to me, like when they've heard. Stuff like that, and they're like, "Oh, so you don't work? You're a lazy ass." Blah blah blah. And I'm like, "Actually, I'm a disabled vet. I've got problems. I can't work." So whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know, a little bit about me from the background there, and then moving forward, like getting back to the topic of Gamergate. Thankfully, V has been kind enough ever since he and I got together to inundate me with like 100 different Skype messages a day. I love you, V. I know you're watching. I know you're watching. I love you. But he's been inundating me with like 100 different things a day, every day. Like, here, take a look at this. What do you think about that? What do you think about this? With like constant Gamergate news, and I'm like, oh my god, I don't know where to start. So, but that's been interesting to finally. He's basically been shoving it down my throat so I can catch up and actually understand what everything's about. And I have come to one conclusion. Anita Sarkeesian is an idiot. That's the conclusion I have come to. And I want the money that she makes. Like, I wish to God I was making $13,000 a month right now.
Well, the interesting... Oh, no, that's Brianna Wu. That's Brianna Wu that makes 13.
Oh, well, okay, Brianna, okay. See, I'm getting them confused anyway still. I don't know what the fuck's going on, even still. Sorry, the language.
No, don't worry, man. Don't worry. I swear all the time on my channel. The interesting thing about all of this is that Brianna Wu isn't really implicated in any corruption scandals that I'm aware of. She's on a podcast with someone who is also working somewhere else. I can't remember exactly what it is. It's shady, but it's nothing that you'd call out directly. And Anita Sarkeesian is, well, I mean, she's a con artist, but she, again, isn't implicated in any journalistic corruption. So I don't know why anyone's talking about them. It's like the games journalists are hiding behind the skirt tails of these women because they're afraid to be called to account for the impropriety that they have displayed.
Well, I think it's interesting now. Like, my wife is Australian, and she used to work for the Justice Department in South Australia. Actually worked at a prison, and then was a project manager. So she's relatively successful, and she's been sort of watching a lot of this stuff from behind me because she, when she's here, she sits in the same office. Going like, she doesn't speak for all women, and I wouldn't really consider myself a feminist, and I don't like any of what she's saying and all this other stuff. And I think what is really annoying is, one, it seems like simply because they're women, they're like immune to criticism. Because it's not genuine criticism if they're women, it's just sexist misogyny because, you're not allowed to criticize women because then you're an evil rat bastard for some reason. Which doesn't make any freaking sense to me. I'm sorry, what now?
That is the hypocrite's position that they adopt. Yes.
Yes.
If they, you must know Total Biscuits, right?
Oh yeah, John Bain.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. They literally said about Total Biscuit that he was a misogynist with an axe to grind against women in the. And it was just like, are we talking about the same Total Biscuit? Because he really doesn't seem that way to me. He seems like quite an upstanding gentleman who never even mentions that sort of stuff in his videos, as far as I can tell. But what the hell they're talking about is there is nothing they won't say. I found.
No, there isn't. There really isn't. And it just. It's interesting, the whole situation now when you see these three women that I've been told are like the main three or four, because like what is it, Leigh Alexander, Anita, and Zoe, and Brianna are like the big ones, and you can't criticize them at all because then you're evil and you're wrong, and you're not allowed to talk about the fact that they're liars and they're just stupid because then you're an evil, sexist, misogynistic bastard. And then when you are actually like bringing other women into the conversation, and this is the thing about this like super like fundamentalist or radical feminist sort of mentality that is being brought into this game's world that I don't get, is if you bring other women into the conversation and disagree with them, then those other women don't know what they're talking about and they don't know what's best for them either. Seems to be what I'm understanding.
They call it internalized misogyny.
Okay.
These women are, I don't know, brainwashed by the patriarchy or something, and they are brainwashed to believe that women are awful and they hate themselves, and They're oppressed, and only the feminists who have suddenly figured out exactly how women are oppressed can save them, as I understand it. Yeah, it's incredibly patronizing, and I don't find that women who aren't feminists respond very well to that. They tend to fuck off. There are a lot of women in Gamergate who do exactly that, in fact.
Mm. Well, all I know now is that, like I said, V's been inundating me with a lot. We've been talking a lot ever since the first conversation that he and I had a couple weeks ago, and it's been really interesting to see all the stuff that's going on, and because I really just didn't want anything to do with it. I really didn't. And when I had that first conversation with him, a lot of the pro gamergators that were in that conversation were basically telling me, like, no, you're a gamer, you have to take a side, you have to be involved in it, because if you're not, then you're an SJW, or you're a bastard, or you don't like gaming and gamers, you have to. And I'm like, you do realize you're saying the same thing that, like, religions say? And if you're trying to bring somebody over to your side, that's like threatening them and telling them they should do exactly what you do and believe exactly how you believe is not gonna, like, work at all.
Well,
it's just not.
Incidentally, that is exactly what the social justice warriors have been saying to everyone else. You know, that there's nothing that annoys me more than doing the same thing as them. Then we are just as bad as they are.
Yeah.
For Christ's sake, everyone, let people be neutral if they want to be neutral. There's nothing wrong with saying, you know what, this just isn't my fight. If that's what you want, then do it. It's fine.
Yeah.
But
I think there's other things to worry about, like the attack in Paris and the suicide bombing in Nigeria and the thousands of people that are dead in Africa right now. Like, I think there's more important things to be worrying about, and the gamers just seem completely. It's like, oh my God, some people lied and took some money. They're evil bastards. We understand that. Let's stand up and rabble and while people are dying. So, but
yeah, just to check, am I getting a really bad echo or something?
I'm hearing myself through you. Yes.
Are you? Right. Okay. Let me just try and fix that. Sorry about that, everyone.
No worries.
In the meantime, how do you feel about the Did you hear about the? Isn't that any better, by the way?
I can still hear myself in the background. Like, am I coming through your computer speakers?
You are. I don't think I have my headphones around either. Hang on, let me.
Okay. Because I can hear myself. So.
Okay. How's that?
How's that?
Yeah,
I can still. It's. They're even saying they can hear the echo.
Damn it, everyone! I can't hear what's going on from your point of view.
Well, I've got my headphones on, so that there's not going to be any echo on my side.
I didn't bring. I'm not at my own house, which is why the internet connection isn't just going to drop.
Gotcha.
But I didn't bring my bloody headphones. Is it really bad still?
Echo. I don't know. You can ask them.
Well,
but I can hear myself.
I've turned down all the volume. And I've moved my microphone, so you shouldn't.
Sargon, turn your fucking mic up. I think his mic is fine.
Right. Okay. Well, can you hear me? Okay. Yeah.
I can hear you.
Right. Great. That'll do. Everyone else, I'm sorry. I'll just have to apologize. So yeah, the distinctly anti-gamer position that the gaming press seems to have taken, Kotaku, Gamma Studio, all of the major outlets that on the 28th of August they released their "Gamers Are Over" articles. So I mean, what did you make of that? The idea of that, the idea that gamer as an identity, as a label, is over. What's your position on that?
I'm assuming people will hate me if I say I didn't actually read the article.
No, not at all. I think it's quite normal.
I thought it was a bunch of BS, and I ignored it. I didn't actually go and read any of it and see what they were saying. simply because I thought it was a bunch of bullshit that had probably been more than likely blown out of proportion. So I guess you could say that's my stance on the whole thing, that that and these gaming-related websites are hating on gamers, their primary audience, and you seem to think that that's going to go over just fine. It's stuff that didn't make any sense to me. It's like, Gama Sutra and Polygon and Kotaku and all these websites that were like, gamers are over. I didn't read what they were saying. Didn't really get into it. But it seems now that it was a knee-jerk thing. It was sensationalist media. It was stuff that was blown out of proportion. And I'm still dumbstruck that these websites that wanted to, like, their entire livelihood is based on like the games industry, and yet they're severely insulting and bashing the entirety of the industry that without they would not exist. And to me, that just didn't make sense. It really didn't. And, again, all this stuff about there's no proper female characters or female leads in gaming, and actually, like, V showed me a video of this one guy that basically did the whole A to Z thing that Yako Warner did in yeah, and I thought it was hilarious because it showed actually there's hundreds and hundreds of them. The whole thing about, will women game, and which is not true if you, look into any actual study and poll that shows, like here in America, 23% of the gamer base is women. And I just wonder if people could stop and think for a second on the other side of the fence that, like, maybe just maybe it's not because the men are evil, it's because women aren't actually interested in gaming. And that's completely fine if they're not actually interested in gaming.
That I think makes you a misogynist shitlord.
Does it? Oh, okay, good to know.
It does. I have good authority from the other side that is exactly what you are for saying that.
Oh, okay. Well,
anyone with an ounce of common sense thinks that that's the case, don't they? I mean, it's a market. It's responding to its primary demographic. Apparently, that makes us hateful.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good to know.
Yeah, exactly. It's good news to me. I mean, I don't really hate anyone, but there we go.
It is what it is, and I think it's interesting that, like, oh, you have a dissenting opinion, you disagree with me, you shall burn at the stake. Huh, kind of sounds a little like something, that has been an issue for, I don't know, a couple thousand years.
So. What I like most about it as well is when you criticize any of the women they're hiding behind, or even any of the women who, and just that you criticize a woman and they instantly assume that you hate women. I'm thinking, well, when did they become mind readers? I mean, when did they decide that, criticism of one woman is tantamount to hatred of all women? What kind of nonsense is that? I really don't understand it. But
people think you're saying the HN Gaming Board? What does that even mean? I don't.
Sorry,
sorry, V was talking to me in Skype, and I don't go to 8chan. I've never been there. I know people don't believe that. Apparently that's impossible if you're a gamer, but I've never been there. I take that back. Outside of links you have sent me, I have never gone there, so I don't know what people think I'm talking about. He sent me something about, like, people think I'm talking about V, and I don't know what that means. I don't get it, but whatever. So,
yeah, I wouldn't worry about it for now.
Yeah. And I've never been to 4chan either.
No, 4chan is decidedly anti-Gamergate. They somehow got to the owner of 4chan, and he was like, no Gamergate conversations here. Interestingly, so would you like to tell everyone about the Gamergate conversation that was the thread that was going on the Angry Joe Show boards? Because I didn't see any of it.
Yeah. So this say /v/ they will get it. Oh, okay. That's where it came from. V Monroe, I call him V, so people apparently think I'm talking about the board V on 8chan, so I
I
should
think that's the video
say,
game board, isn't it?
yeah, so I should say /V/ when I'm talking about that instead of V when I'm talking about him. Whatever. That's not my problem. That's up to them. Like, if they don't get that I'm talking about you, then it's not my freaking problem. Anyway, so the original thread, let me see if I can't find it. Because it's kind of gotten buried now.
I tell you, I love watching the chat while you do this. Whenever someone mentions 4chan on Moot, the chat just fills up with the funniest things about Moot. If you're listening to this in the future, just go through the comments. Honestly, it's just hilarious.
I'll have to do that.
This is what happens when you sell your soul to the social justice warriors. But yeah, sorry, you finding the thread, yeah?
Yeah, I can't freaking find it at the moment. All right, honey, please, Daddy's busy.
Well, while you dig around for that, I'm just gonna read out a few points from Joe's post, which I thought might be interesting. Oh, you found it, have you?
No. I said have at it. You know, if that's what you want to do.
Sorry,
stuff, feel free.
Yeah. So yeah, it's basically Joe is. I think it seems more than anything he's annoyed about being personally attacked for something he probably doesn't know all that much about, and I'm not really that surprised. I mean, he really just seems to be like, what the hell are you going on at me for? And I can understand why. Why is everyone going on at him? So he starts talking about me, in fact. He says, I have no idea who Sargon is either, so I'm incapable of believing anything about Sargon. For fuck's sake, Joe, I'm some crazy tinfoil hat guy. Damn it. I've got to believe that.
Yeah, that was the thing that I thought was kind of funny, especially when I found out who you were and saw that. It was like, oh, well, okay, well, he doesn't know who you are, and yeah, a tidbit of information. He thought that might come off a little condescending, but you know, it's like he didn't know who you were. So, and people kept bringing you up, and he really didn't know who you were. So, I don't know why like telling the truth is being condescending, but you know, whatever.
That's not condescending at all. It's, you know, I'm not famous, for fuck's sake. You know, I'm not surprised he doesn't know who I am. You know, the dude's got like 1 million subscribers or something, isn't he? So
1.2, 1.3, somewhere around there.
Yeah, exactly. I am such small fry in compared to Joe's channel. You know, I'm not offended by that at all. But yeah, I did feel bad for Joe because you know, it's not right for us to be going on at him. You know, it's really not. So yeah. Sorry, are you still looking for that?
No, I can't freaking find it. I don't know what we did with it.
Okay, well, do you want to?
I'll go over it. Yeah, just kind of generally go over it.
Yeah, because I didn't see it at all. So.
Okay, so the big thing is that when this whole Gamergate thing started, obviously it came up in the general discussion section, and we let the discussion go. Obviously, I mean, despite what's been said about us by people that have absolutely no clue what they're talking about, and I hate to be like that. I know that comes off extraordinarily condescending and patronizing, but it's the truth. They don't. We weren't going to shut anything down just because we, you know, just right off the bat. We were going to let the conversation go and see what happened. That's usually what we do. So, again, that particular thread, like I keep telling everybody, it lasted 40-something pages in like 3 months. And it was something like 778 posts in that thread. So near on 800 posts over 40 pages in 3 months. But yet, you know, we're censoring and we don't allow conversation and, you know, stuff that still boggles my mind that, you know, if we let it run for 40 pages, 800 posts in 3 months, yet we didn't want to have the conversation on our forums. Well, the truth is that at that point, when it was at 40 pages, had been going for several months, and had been 800 and some odd posts, we'd gotten to the point where, you know, all of our moderators were constantly dealing with complaints. And obviously, to say that people go, well, you're a moderator, that's your freaking job, why are you complaining about doing your job? Well, actually, we're not complaining about doing our job, we're complaining about the amount of stuff that we were dealing with in regards to people attacking people, and people pulling the conversation off topic, and people being very toxic in the topic, and many other things that we just said, you know what, is this actually good for our community? Because yes, we're a gaming community, and this is technically gaming related, but it's actually more like games journalism, and we're just like here to play games and talk about game-related stuff, direct game-related stuff. And some of us, like myself, felt that, okay, yeah, this is games industry related, but is it like really directly related to gaming, which is what we do? And eventually we just decided that it was toxic, that it wasn't something that we wanted to talk about anymore, that we felt we'd given enough credence to it, and we shut it down. And, obviously we've gotten a bunch of garbage for it ever since.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is that kind of annoys me as well, because at the end of the day, I mean, it's a private forum, isn't it? It's not. If we were talking about like Reddit or Twitter or Facebook, I would completely understand. They advertise themselves as, and Patreon as well. They advertise themselves as public forums where they invite the whole world to come and partake in their discussion, or the front page of the internet, and all this sort of bollocks. So the conversation not being held on those forums, I completely agree. I think that's out of order. But on, for example, the Angry Joe Show Army forum, it's a private gaming forum.
Yes.
I don't see why it shouldn't be. I don't see why it should be such a problem if you guys say, look, we've had 3 months of you discussing this here. We've had enough discussion of that here because we're here for gaming rather than, we're not even, you're not there for gaming journalism. You're there for discussion of gaming itself.
Yes.
So I can personally understand why you guys aren't hosting those conversations anymore.
I'm watching the chat, and they're like, please don't use toxic. And I'm like, well, what the hell else am I supposed to use?
Well, the problem is that people don't like these are the sort of words are inventions of the social justice warriors, and
I'm sure they didn't invent the word toxic.
It's more the context. It's
okay.
To say that a word or a thought or a method of thought is toxic, that's it's not. I mean, it's not going to poison anyone, is it?
No.
No one's going to that. That's the literal definition of toxic. It's
yes.
So it's this kind of appropriation of language, I think, and problematic is another one. They're basically social justice buzzwords. But the thing is, I wouldn't worry about them, honestly.
Okay.
I think it's their triggers, basically, because they've been dealing with these goddamn social justice warriors for such a long time. Whenever people hear someone on the outside of all of this, and language is fluid. It gets picked up and gets passed around. People, if people use it in different contexts and in the wider world, and so people outside of these things tend to pick up on certain neologisms and colloquialisms that are sort of widely disseminated, and it's bound to come back from someone else who's not related to it, and people, I guess, get kind of triggered by it. I don't really know.
Well, maybe if people actually were willing to do what you just did and explain that, so that I actually know why it's an issue and why it's a problem. And somebody brought up in the chat, use disruptive or counterproductive, and there you go.
Yeah.
That's a perfectly valid thing there, instead of jumping on me because I used the only word that I could think of at the time. So yes, okay, it was counterproductive and disruptive, if that's better words to use.
Well, then I wouldn't let them police me if I were you. If I were you now, I think you're actually bound to use toxic and problematic as much as possible, just to trigger people.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. If I were that much of an ass, then yeah, probably. And I don't know if I am gonna wanna be or am at the moment. So.
Okay. So yeah, this Gamergate thread went on for 40 pages, and 3 months. And what was the tenor at the end? Why was it shut? Like finally shut in the end? Exactly. Sort of. Was it degenerating to personal attacks? Did you say or?
Yeah. It was basically just a conversation up in the command council between all the field commanders and council members, and the conversation, the TLDR version of it is basically, is this good for the community? No, it isn't. We're done with it. And before that, obviously, it was like, have we given it enough credence? Have we let them talk about it long enough? And are we obligated to continue letting them talk about it? No, we're not. And being a private website, we're, as I've said before several times, we're not obligated to protect freedom of speech by any stretch of the imagination at all, because we are a private website. We can choose what we want on our site and what we don't. And if that makes us evil, then the people that think that, in my opinion, can screw off, because it's our website. It's like, we don't allow non-gaming related stuff like direct religious conversations or direct political or any of that sort of stuff on the website. We don't, because that has nothing to do with who and what we are and what we're doing. And if you post something like that, it's going to get locked, you're going to get warned, and you're going to get told not to do it again. And if you do it again, then we're probably going to assume that you're not going to listen to us, and we're probably going to remove you from the community. And that's pretty much what happened with the Gamergate thing. Was we just decided, this has gone on long enough. Okay. We're done.
No, that's fair enough. And was Joe part of that decision in any way?
No, no.
I didn't think he would be. I just thought we'd clear that up.
He was not there at all. He wasn't even online on Skype to have the conversation with us. So he was not part of that conversation. He was not part of that decision, and knew absolutely nothing about it. However, I know there are people that will say that's a lie, but it's the truth. Whether they want to believe it.
I'm happy to take you at your word. I've got no reason to believe that you're lying, and I don't think anyone else does either. Okay, that's great. That's basically what I wanted to clear up. Because I thought that this is a bit of a storm in a teacup, and it's not like there aren't worse people to go after. Of all the people to start having a go at, gamers who aren't really interested in getting political aren't the right people, in my opinion. What have you been playing recently? Actually, there was a game that you were trying to get me to get, wasn't there?
Oh, what games have I been playing?
Yeah, what was that Age of Sail one or something like that?
That's Naval Action.
Yeah, well, is it called Naval Action? Is it?
Yes, it's called Naval Action. Yeah.
Right.
I've been pretty good. Insurgency, Interstellar Marines, because I've finally gotten back into some of the tactical shooters. Been playing Final Fantasy XIV, World of Warcraft again with the wife. The wife and I play World of Warcraft together.
Oh, God,
I'm waiting for the response to that too. But
you're in your very own Skinner box, aren't you?
Yes, yeah. The wife is very much a gamer as well. Like, she went through the first Mass Effect game like 11 times or something silly. I can't remember. Because she wanted every possible ending and to do everything possible. So she's a bit of a gamer. She's an Xbox gamer though, so we don't get along all that well. I'm kidding.
Console peasants.
Yes, console peasants.
Not at all. If you need a controller to play a game, then I look down my nose at you. I'm gonna get loads of shit now.
Yeah, you probably are gonna get a shitload of stuff there. So, but other than that, I finally got back into EVE Online and just like having a general go at things.
Trailer?
Did
you see the EVE Online trailer that was going around?
I've seen all of them.
Well, there was one recently that someone sent me, and it was basically just people planning raids and shit in EVE Online. And I was watching it, and I was just like, holy shit, this is the best trailer for anything I've ever seen, ever.
That's the problem. Because the trailers are amazing, but then if you don't have the right sort of support structure when you get into the game, you're never going to see any of that.
Well, that is exactly what I went and read the comments on the trailer, and they were like, yeah, this is true, but it leaves out a hell of a lot.
Yes.
I was like, wow, I wish I had the time to dedicate to it because it looks fucking amazing.
I've been playing since January 2006. I've been playing for far too long. So I've even had the honor of interviewing some of the developers on my channel. It's an old video, but I have an interview with CCP Torfe Franz Olofsson, who is currently the intellectual property manager for the entirety of the EVE IP. And back then he was a creative director. So it was a really good guy to talk to. But other than that, that's really about it. And just playing games in general, enjoying
so
Steam.
Do you guys run tournaments and stuff on the Angry Joe Army site?
Yes. Mm-hmm. People can go to our front page. It's public and see that. I can actually put it here, and you can, because for some reason it won't let me post things. If it will at all. There it goes. And you can see that we've started up a whole bunch of servers. There's the community spotlight thing, which I'm responsible for, and then if they go down and click next page, they'll see some of the events and stuff that we've got. We need to be a little bit better about it on the calendar. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we've got tournaments, we've got events.
So what games do you run tournaments for?
Whatever we can, whenever we can. The problem is getting people to put everything together for us. So, because a lot of us up at Command are busy with a whole bunch of other stuff and have lives. So, the major issue to running tons of tournaments is trying to get people to do stuff for us. So.
Right. Well, what games are you running tournaments for at the moment? Just out of interest.
Actually, I don't think we're currently running any tournaments right now. We're running events.
Kind of undermines what you're saying there, doesn't it?
Well, we were gonna we did the last thing we ran was Smite, League of Legends, Dota 2, and Battlefield 4. Those are the last tournaments, and we actually have an open Dota 2 tournament at the moment. So
right, okay.
There you go. As far as I've delved into it, but. And I'm afraid to say this now, the community was extraordinarily toxic. I tried to get into Dota 2, and just I couldn't do it. So.
Well, what was the community like? I've never played it, so.
You get into it, and you're brand new, and they're doing things that gamers do, and you just don't want to deal with it. Like, they're cussing and screaming and yelling and calling you things and telling you should kill yourself, and it's like, I'm brand new. And all this other stuff, and it was every single freaking game. Stupid not getting the right lane or what the hell ever. Like, they've got their own lingo and terminology for MOBAs. I don't play MOBAs because one, I don't get them, and two, I can't get into them, and three, every time I've gotten into any of them, you can't walk into a game as a new player without being told you need to die, or you're a faggot, or kill yourself, or just getting cussed at constantly, and I just don't want to deal with that at all. At least that's my personal experience, and people are probably gonna.
I can understand why. I mean, the thing is that never happens in the games I play. I played shit, I can't remember the name of it now. It's like a medieval fancy MMO. Oh crap! It's yeah, I can't remember the name of it now, but it's a medieval fancy MMO. But there's no safe zones or anything like that, so you can you walk outside and you can get killed by anyone anytime for any reason. And
talking about Daok?
Amazing. Sorry?
Daok, Dark Age of Camelot.
No, it was it was more like a Dungeons and Dragons style fantasy game. I can't remember the fucking name of it now. This is pissing me off.
I'm sure you'll remember.
Yeah, I'll remember later. But it was really, really good. And the problem is, well, I mean, the problem is it was quite tough. But the problem wasn't with the people playing it. The problem, the people playing were absolutely lovely. And me and my co-developer, we basically decided to jump into it. And we were running around, and after 2 minutes, literally someone came up and go, you're new, aren't you? And we're like, yes, we're new. Are you going to call us faggots? Are you going to kill us? I'm like, no, here's what you need, this is what you need. Do you want to come and join our little group and we'll build a house and stuff like this? And it was fucking awesome.
Lineage.
It was really,
He says Lineage.
No, it wasn't that either. It was, shit.
Life is Feudal?
No, but I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna get that at some point.
I want to get it
Um,
too. I really do because it looks
it
awesome. It
looks,
looks like Worm Online but better.
yeah. I saw there was I saw a video for something called was it Medieval Engineers that was going around, and yeah, it was Hello Kitty Island Adventure. It wasn't really. But yeah, there was a video for something called Medieval Engineers that looked amazing,
Mm.
fucking amazing. The video was a video of some guy building a bloody castle. It was incredible. I'll probably end up
Maybe
getting
it
that
was
too.
like some people are saying maybe Mountain Blade.
No, it wasn't Mount
Or
Blade. It was an MMO. It was first person. There were skeletons. It was about a year ago or so. I played it now. I can't remember.
first
But it
person
was
and
really good, and the people were
skeletons?
really nice, and it was really brutal.
Arcade
Fuck,
isn't first person though, people. Maybe it was Mortal Online. That could have been it.
that was it. Mortal Online.
Mortal? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Mortal Online. Really, really good. The players were all awesome. I was like, right, great. This is awesome. And I didn't, none of the problems that you get with, I guess, the really hyper competitive games. But
No, not really. It's one of the reasons why I love playing Final Fantasy because you don't get that in Final Fantasy like at all, especially on the roleplay servers. But there are large roleplay communities like Balmung and Gilgamesh. So, but I love Final
I,
Fantasy. I'm a Final Fantasy fanboy, hardcore. So,
I wish I was. I have so many people tell me so many good things about Final Fantasy, and I'm there. Yeah, that's true. And then I kind of see them playing Final Fantasy. I'm like, yeah, this isn't for me. It's not. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not disparaging anything about it. It's just not for me.
I think the thing for me is how Square Enix handled Final Fantasy, right? Final Fantasy came out and it was bad, right? Garbage, just plain bad. And the dev team has some restructuring. Some people step down, some people get fired, and they basically come out and apologize. They had like 2 or 3 public apologies, and
Yeah.
they also came out and said like, look, the game is so bad that we wouldn't pay for it, so we're not gonna like make you pay for it. And they did. They extended the free time for Final Fantasy XIV version 1.0 for like almost a year, and then after that, they tried to keep the game basically going, and they kept updating it for about a year. And then they had this sort of a shutdown ending sort of an event for version 1.0 of the game, where they literally like in the game destroyed the world basically. So they tied it into they tied moving from one version of the game to the next into the lore, and had an event and cinematics and voice acting and everything for it, and they destroyed the world and did a 5-year time skip.
Yeah.
And then a year later, they come back and they've completely rebuilt the game. They're using a brand new engine. They've completely rebuilt the game in the span of like a year. Now they're like 2.5 million strong, and we're getting the new patch coming out, 2.5. We're getting the new expansion coming out, Heaven's Word, and all kinds of like amazing content. So I really, really love Final Fantasy, and it's because my first MMO back in 2004, I had actually joined the Navy in August of 2003. And in 2004, when I was stationed at Naval Operations Base Portsmouth on board USS Cape St. George, I was actually living off base with my now ex-wife, wife at the time, and I got a computer as part of like school help and whatnot. And the first thing I did was put Final Fantasy 11 on it. So it's like, this is for you to go to school, sailor. Yeah, whatever. Final Fantasy. So that was my first MMO experience, was Final Fantasy 11 back then. So I've become a Final Fantasy fanboy ever since. Well, more so because my first big RPG on the PlayStation 1 was Final Fantasy 7, like a lot of people. So, and that was about, God, 15, 16 years ago. So long time ago. Quick question for you, my friend. I have been asked if you are willing to allow V to come and chat with us at all.
What, V Monroe?
Yes.
Yeah, you can come on.
Okay. How would I go about like having him do that?
I will invite him in. Hang on.
Okay. It's obviously completely up to you, and he said just ask. So
Yeah, that's
Um,
okay. If you let me just figure out how exactly I'm going to do that. I've sent you the link on Twitter, mate.
okay.
I tell you, do you know the best MMO I've ever played is? Right.
What?
It was an MMO called F Online. It was Fallout Online, and it was a free thing run by like these Polish guys who had basically taken all the art assets from Fallout and Fallout 2, amalgamated the Fallout and Fallout 2 map together, and then created an MMO of it. So you could go to all of the locations in Fallout and Fallout 2 as part of an MMO. As you know, you're a little vault dweller in your blue suit. You spawn in the wasteland, and you can go and pick things up, make a little make a melee weapon, kill some ants, and then eventually get to a town, get yourself a gun, and build up to eventually you get armor, and you've got like workbenches so you can produce stuff and produce guns, ammo, armor, and all that sort of stuff. You got skill trees. It was fucking amazing, and it was the most unforgiving thing I've ever seen in my life. It was
I've never heard
if
of
you
it.
died, exactly, it was a tiny thing. There were probably only about 2,000 players online at any one time. But if you died, that was it. You lost everything on you, And
Wow.
there were roving gangs of Polish people who were soulless. They just didn't care. They would literally turn up in your little encounter or your little instance, and they'd be there in their plate armor and miniguns, and you'd be like, oh shit. If anyone's played Fallout, it played exactly like Fallout. Exactly like Fallout. And
Wow.
it was amazing. It was fucking amazing. You could build your own base, so you could start by building like a little. If you got enough Brahmin hides, you could get a little tent and you could place it somewhere off in the wasteland and keep your stuff there. And then you could eventually save up enough money to buy a base, and you'd have to. You would literally, right? You would be there with like 70,000 caps. Well, one of the bases was 150,000 caps, and you would be walking through the wasteland thinking, God, I hope we don't run into any Polish people. I really hope we don't run into any Polish people. Because literally, nothing else could nothing was sacred. There was nothing that couldn't be killed in it. And so you could spin a town, and then a huge army of Polish people with miniguns and rocket launchers might turn up and start blasting stuff. And you'd be like, shit, I have to get out of it. It was amazing. Honestly, it was the most incredible MMO I've ever played in my life. And it's not online anymore, and honestly, I cry every night.
Yeah, hey guys, thanks for having me here. By the way, I really like your game Necromancer. I wasn't that interested in the beginning, but now that you said you're making it turn-based, turn-based is my favorite type of genre, so I'm going to have to buy it now.
Oh, thanks, man. It's something I've wanted to do for a while, but I don't know, you kind of get stuck into like a method of thinking, and then, I was playing it, and I was thinking, okay, this is okay. I wasn't like not having fun playing it, playtesting it the other day, but the game that we'd been working on before this was a game called Drones, where it was like a double-blind turn-based tactical game. And units, and then they follow them, and we had really good fun doing it, and it was just a much better way of running a game like this. And I've just been like, I really want this in Necromancer. Really want it in there. And so I discussed it with my co-developer, I discussed it with the other people, and they were like, well, if you think it's not going to take you too long. And I'm like, well, look, I've already got the system right there. How long do you think that's going to take to put across? So that's what I'm going to do. But, yeah, how you doing, man?
Well, I'm fine. I just wanted to say something in the beginning, because basically the reason why I got into making the video about the Angry Joe show is twofold. First of all, I thought that Angry Joe is directly responsible for the website, and apparently that's not true, right? And I'm a really big fan of Angry Joe, actually. I started liking him since 3 years ago. And I'm really passionate about his work, and the guy says he's all about defending the consumers and whatnot, and I was quite dismayed when I saw that not only is he not talking about Gamergate, but he banned the subject on the forum. And my video wasn't about against him. It was just reading what one of the moderators said, and I've spoken with that moderator, and I apologize for it. And the moderator said that you can still talk about Gamergate in your private messages or Skype. And in my video, I was like, oh, well, thank you. Like, thanks for allowing me to talk on Skype and on my Steam account. And because of that, Total Biscuit came on, and he was like really pissed off. And Angry Joe came on as well on my channel, and he was upset. And it was a kartoffel, as you said it.
Yeah, I didn't see Angry Joe's comment. What did he say?
Basically, it's why people say that he was being, how should I say, sarcastic when he didn't know who you are is because he knew who King of Pole was. And I was like, really? You know who King of Pole is, but you don't know who Sargon of Akkad is? And that was a bit funny, you know?
How did he know who King of Pole was?
I think King of Pole made a few comments about him, and probably people told him like, look, this guy is talking about you. That's how I think he knew. But
okay.
Yeah, King of Pole was pretty big in the beginning. I mean, he had a lot of important guests, so I guess there is a high chance that he would have watched him.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, did you want to discuss anything with Damion?
Yeah, I do talk with Damion a lot on my stream. So my question to Damion is, how do you feel, mate, when Brianna Wu is making $16,000?
Well, I have a problem with how she's going about making that money, and you know, when I put it into perspective of the fact that she makes in 2 months what my wife and I live off of together for an entire year, and the way she's going about making that money, and I do use the word "she" lightly. I don't really know if the stuff that's been stated is true one way or the other. And I think I fixed the echo. I think the echo was my problem. I apologize.
Oh, was it? Was it really? That's nice.
Apparently, my freaking webcam had like its microphone going as well. So.
Right. Oops. Sorry. I knew it wasn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry. So what was your opinion on how Brianna Wu's making it then? What's wrong with how she's doing it?
Playing the professional victim is something I have a problem with. I really do. I don't know if I can explain why I have a problem with it adequately. That people will understand why I have a problem with it. And again, as I said earlier in this conversation, the little itty bitty voice in the background is my daughter. For those that are just showing up, I cannot make her go away. She's my child, and I have to deal with her. So
that's okay. Don't worry about it. So yeah.
But
tell us about how you feel about it.
Again, I have a problem with somebody who, if it's true that she used to be a he, then for starters, there's no feminism argument there whatsoever. There should be like a transgender argument, and not really so much an argument, because I'm one of those people that believes that everybody has the right to be and do whatever they want. So I'm not against any sort of differing sexuality or religion or opinions or anything. I have people can do whatever they want to do. But what I have a problem with is like how they go about doing things sometimes, especially when they're being hypocrites. And that sort of a situation where if it's true that she used to be a he, I don't know if it's true, and she's playing this feminist card and this damsel in distress, which is the very same thing that Anita Sarkeesian is constantly going on and on and on about, and she's playing this professional victim when where's the evidence to back everything up that she has been harassed and she has been attacked, and the fact that you can't criticize anything. I think V, you sent this to me. There was a video, and in that video they had her on a Skype call, and somebody said, do you deny making the sock puppet account? And she just turned the Skype call off.
Yeah, that was in the beginning.
Yeah,
but she came back after that. She did came back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was the David Bachman interview. But this does go to show that men can do everything better. I mean, if you look at her Patreon, being a professional victim, she is making more than the other professional victims put together.
Yeah. Wow, we're gonna burn in hell for that comment.
Yeah, we're in trouble now.
I take full responsibility. Sargon is not responsible for anything I say. I cannot be controlled.
Yes, please do not hold Sargon responsible for anything at all, because I actually want him to like me. So, and I asked him to bring you on here, so there you go.
I actually, a lot of people got offended of my statement about trans people, you know, like the videos I made. And it turns out like a lot of trans people actually messaged me on Twitter. I even have screenshots if they're required. And they said, no, mate, we're not offended. You're doing a good job. Brianna Wu is offending us by doing that.
Interesting.
Yeah, I got that. I get that every now and again. Not that I don't think I offend trans people, but it's more that I get people saying, you know, I'm trans and fuck Brianna Wu, fuck her. You know, just they are sick of them, absolutely sick of them. The idea that these people can co-opt the very notion and the identity of being transsexual, and then say that they speak for them all. Like when Brianna Wu was like, I know every woman in the gaming industry. Oh, fuck off, do you, Brianna? Fuck off. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I'm. No, you don't know every woman in the gaming industry, especially when several women in the games industry make videos about not knowing who you are.
Fucking, she's just full of shit.
But it's weird how people don't take on that. I mean, that would be a huge warning sign that that person is dishonest. If I would see this on the TV, because that was on MSNBC, I mean, that exact instance, I would be like, holy shit, there's something wrong going on. I mean, you literally can't know every single woman in the game industry.
Yeah, it's nonsense, and she's they're all full of shit. That's my problem with them. And the worst part, right, is that I make sure I watch media from both sides of the political spectrum. And lately it's really interesting. Because I've noticed that there's a trend. The left wing has become very detached from reality. I mean, the far left, not people who are in the center. You know, center right, center left. This has nothing to do with you guys, and you guys really have nothing to do with anything. Because the people at the extreme sides of each of these arguments have detached themselves from the rest of the world, and they are fighting their own private battle now. The far left, the progressives, the extreme progressives, they have decided that they are the arbiters of right and wrong, and there can be no right and wrong without their say-so. And it's causing them to really be afraid of anything that challenges their narrative. And so it's got to the point where they are lying about a lot of stuff, like the 1 in 5 women are raped on college campuses, when the actual number is 0.03. In 5, and so it is a flat line, and the right wing have very much picked up on this, and it's like the left lies, and that's a true statement. They do lie. I see it all the time, and it fucks me off more than anything. They are liars, and that really bothers me, because then that gets translated into everyone on the left is a liar, and everything they say is a lie. Which isn't true, but that's how it comes across, which then makes the people on the right seem like liars as well. And so you've just got this awful, awful situation where both sides have some truth to them, and there was a kernel of truth way back when, back when this all started, there was some truth to both positions. But now they're just both so full of shit. I wish they'd both be. I just wish both sides would be banned or something. And I'm not calling for things to be banned often. But seriously, these people making their own shit up, and then on the other side, people making shit up, there has to be some sort of rules to stop this shit. There really has to be. It fucks me off more than anything.
At least right-wing come to debate. Like, I've been trying to get the feminists to talk with, and it's impossible. They just don't want to step up and defend their position.
Well, that's actually something that really bothers me as well, because the left wing, they undermine themselves by letting the right wing hold the facts. I'm tired of being called right wing because I'm not right wing, but I deal with people who are right wing because they are willing to be dealt with. They're like, well, these are the statistics that I'm using, and these, they fly in the face of what the left wing claims are, and so, what am I wrong? And it's like, well, no, you're not wrong. And it's like, are they wrong? Yes, they are wrong, and they're not interested in listening. So it's it's just this ridiculous situation. It's ridiculous. I know we're not talking about gaming now, but god damn it, it's something that's been on my mind for ages, and it really pisses me off.
So, well, you've got this issue in gaming, and you've got this issue everywhere you look, and I think one of the things that really should be talked about within the Gamergate crowd is if it's such a large community and such a large group of people trying to stand for something, and I brought this up when I talked to Veeman the last time, that I think Gamergate should be trying to do more good outside of the games industry if there's such a large and powerful group. But I think the thing that really had me sort of, I could say, disgusted at the time, that people were constantly bringing things up within the thread. For example, we had one of our own officers posted like a picture of Washington crossing the Delaware and likened Gamergate to that. And I had a real massive problem with that. I'm like, you're not fighting against religious intolerance. You're not actually placing yourself in any real danger. You're a Twitter activist. That's the end of it.
Yeah,
and
I
have
would
a problem
like
with something.
to just say that we are placing some of us in danger, because a lot of people on our side got fired and swatted. I mean, it's not that I'm afraid it would happen, but the possibility definitely is there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, as a former military member, I have an issue with it, and people saying that they're in, great...
Daddy.
What, honey? Sorry, Daddy's busy. They're in great imminent danger, and they're really not. In most situations, they're really not. Some situations, obviously, it's come to fruition that things have happened, but they're really not in anywhere near as much danger as they make themselves out to be on both sides of the fence. And
yeah, I think just to jump in, I completely understand the idea of being afraid of the danger. I've been doxxed and whatnot, and I've had things sent through the mail, but I think that very few people are actually in any kind of danger whatsoever. I'm firmly of the opinion that this is all just bullshit that's going on the internet.
It is just bullshit
really
going on the internet.
Yeah, exactly.
You deserve to be doxxed, Sargon. Your kettleware is sexist and ostracizing.
Yeah, I have some awesome kettles now. I can't complain. But the whole sort of like Washington crossing the Delaware, I understand that as someone who is a disabled vet, that's probably... I can see why that would annoy you, but I think in a metaphorical sense, you've got to understand, for the people who are taking part in this, they've been... I don't want to use the word persecuted, but I can't really think of a better way of saying it when you look at what the social justice press, the way it's been treating its audience and gamers in general for years now, for at least 2 years now, and I can understand why people consider this similar in a metaphorical sense, of course, because I don't think it's wrong. I don't think it's right to sort of try and deny that from them, because they've put up with a lot of shit. And now it's the time when they've decided, look, we're all going to fight back. So, I just wanted to speak in defense of them. There. Sorry.
Well, I think one of the things that I have been very glad for is even watching the backlash that I've gotten for some of my stances and opinions, that at least people understand that, unlike most, I'm actually willing to have a discussion about my stances and my belief systems. And as I told V, if new information comes to light that should change my stance, then I should change. Because if the Dalai Lama can come out and say, if science proves some aspect of Buddhism wrong, then Buddhism will have to change, then I'm pretty sure I can do that too, because I'm not like the freaking Dalai Lama, and I should...
The Pope, isn't it? He said almost exactly the same thing, that God isn't a magician.
God is not a... Yeah, the Pope said that too. And
yeah.
So I think people see that when I'm talking with you and V, and they eventually like changed their tune, and I understand why they're so defensive and so backlashy. They've been dealing with a whole bunch of bullshit, and I can understand that, and I can see that, and I don't think it was ever deserved at all.
I would like to point out that being from a country where we actually fought for free speech, where a lot of Romanians died in the capital in order to get our right to free speech, I find it really heartwarming seeing that gamers are standing up against the press, because freedom of speech is not only is something that only the state can forbid. The mass media has a lot of power. Some argue that it's the fourth power in the state. You have the government, the executive power, the legislation, and the jurisdiction, and some say that the media is the fourth. And
very much is, especially in this country.
Yeah, and the media basically uses censorship by forcing other people to censor for them. They decide what's moral and what's immoral, and people are going to censor others according to what the media says. And the moment the media isn't based on reporters that are reporting the news, but on activists that have an agenda and they tell you this is what's moral and this is what's immoral, they have people basically just censoring others and fight for the reporters' behalf, fight the media's wars.
And I can agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, and no one had the balls to do this. No one had the balls to stand up for them, and it's been happening in gaming. It's been happening with even in heavy metal. I noticed it's now going to tabletop games, comic books, movies, mass media, everywhere you look. And gamers, from what I noticed, and BDSM practitioners are the only ones that actually had the courage to stand up against them.
What do you think about that?
No, totally agree. I would like to see more people just not taking their shit anymore, you know? Just everything they say is slanderous, you know? Oh, you are this, you are that, because you're not letting us tell you what to do. And I'm thinking, Christ, that is just the most awful bully boy tactics, isn't it? You know? Just the most awful. But oh, we can see you now, Anthony. Oh, sorry, Damon.
The most scary shit that I seen recently was Ben Kuchera, who is a journalist at Polygon, if you can call him that. And he literally threatened the guy just because he disagreed on games with him. He threatened that he would phone his employers and get him fired. And thankfully, like a lot of Gamergaters contacted the guy's employer as well and provided with evidence and a lot of information on who Ben Kuchera really is. And the employer told the guy that, you know, he's not going to get fired. But the amount of balls from Ben to say, I disagree with you, so I'm going to phone your employer, was something that made me jaw drop.
I'm not surprised anymore. I've seen them do it too many times to be surprised. I'm disgusted, of course, but I'm just not surprised.
I'm not really surprised either, and I did not want to turn the camera on. That was an accident.
Honey, mommy, daddy.
Yeah, hi, honey. Sorry.
It's just like, oh, look at the adorable kid.
It's okay. The chat loves her.
Yeah.
You have a mini me there.
I've got to say, I'm really enjoying the chat that's quoting me. Apparently. Honestly, some of it's just amazing. I'm going to read some just posterity.
Okay.
Yeah. So you know, the Jews should feel that we've arrived. We want to put half to 3/4 of all the Jews east of the Vistula. We will crush these Jews wherever we can. Everything is at stake. Quote Sargon of Akkad, 2013.
Oh my God.
I'm saying that. But I mean, and the next one is, don't get me wrong, all I'm saying is that without Jews there would be no need for Gamergate. Sargon of Akkad 2005. I don't recall saying this thing.
I don't think you ever did say any of those things, but it's more along the lines of having to deal with trolls. You know, what are you gonna do? You gotta deal with trolls. So
it's just what the Communist Party used to do in Romania. They take political correctness to a way that they use it as a weapon. If I would say a joke right now, like I said it on my channel, and again, what I'm saying is not condoned by any of the people here. If I would talk about the nigger Jew shotgun that goes like this, Jew, juke, and then you reload it and it goes like nicker, right? It's a joke. Everyone gets it. It's not offensive. But what they would do is they would go, like the moment I disagree with them, they would go back to my channel, they would look when I said the joke, and then they would quote, like, look what V Monroe stands for. And that would get me fired, that would get me to lose my friends. That's how they use PC as a weapon in order to get whatever shit they want to get.
Yeah, it's... I find it unconscionable. I really can't... I really can't stand these sort of low tactics. You know, it really... The thing is, what I'm most annoyed about are people like Dara O'Brien, who has... I spoke to him on Twitter, and he literally wouldn't listen. He was just... I thought the man was an intelligent skeptic, but apparently I was wrong, you know. And he had been told the anti-Gamergate position, and he'd obviously been told that Gamergate is doing nothing but attacking women. And I'm like, okay, you know, can we talk about this, Dara? Because I'm not interested in attacking women, but I'm very interested in collusion within the gaming journalism sort of the clique that's in power at the moment. And he was like, no, I've heard one side and that's enough. And it's like, if that were me, and someone came to me and was like, by the way, there's this group of people over here, and all they do is attack women. You've got to hate them. You've got to hate them. And then, you know, and then these people are like, listen, can we give our side of the story? I mean, before they'd even given their side of the story, I would be skeptical of the claims that this person had made. You know, there's a group of people over there, and they do nothing but hate people. You have to hate them too. It's like, well, I don't think I will. You know, I mean, they might, and I might, but I'm not just going to take a default position, for fuck's sake. But for some reason he did, and a lot of people seem to have done that because I think they're afraid of the people who are approaching them. I think they know that the people who are operating as a cyber mob, which is what feminists are doing. You look at what's the Matt Taylor, you know, and any of them, and you know, Time Magazine, when Feminist was voted word to ban in 2015, they issued a fucking apology. Why? You know, this scientist bullied into tears on the public stage by fucking feminists. And it's like the...
Oh, that reached Romania, by the way.
Sorry?
That's reached Romania, and we don't have feminism here, and it reached us. It was like... And people were saying, did you hear what the Americans are doing? Because they don't have the concepts, they don't really watch the news, and it was funny as hell.
But that's the thing. I think that the people who are being approached, I think they are afraid of the people who are approaching them.
Mm.
I think that they're afraid of them, and I think they have seen, you know, what these people have done, or they've heard from someone else say, "Oh, don't, you know, do you remember what happened so and so? You don't want to get just say whatever they want and just leave them alone. You know, just avoid them."
One thing I want to talk about in regards to that, in like, you know, weaponizing political correctness, is the situation that I've seen happen a lot with the Gamergate and the pro-Gamergate side of things. Like, you can see it in this chat of almost 900 people. When you want people to think that you're not about hating women, you're not about racism, you're not about any of the stuff that they say you are, you're about standing up for proper games journalism, and you see the majority of the people in these chats making racist comments, making racist jokes. It doesn't matter if they're funny or not, if people are offended or not. It's what people see, and it can be seen, and it can be screenshotted, and it can be shown by people. There are probably people who will come to these chats from the other side of the fence who will sit and watch these types of things happen, where you've got a whole bunch of men watching this show, making the rape jokes, making the racist comment jokes, and doing all these things that they're doing, whether it's in jest or it's in good fun or they're just being trolling idiots. It does not matter. People are going to see this stuff, and you're giving the other side ammunition to use against you. It was a conversation I had with... I'll stop hitting the desk, fuck your couch. Conversation I had with V a while ago, that I have an issue with, like, our culture as a whole, and I do mean like gaming culture. Like, I have an issue with gaming culture as it stands right now. I'm only 31 years old, but I've been gaming since the Sega Genesis, the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Atari 64. Been around gaming for 15, 16 years now, and I really think that maybe we should like actually step back and stop self-perpetuating the stereotypes and stop self-perpetuating the things that are being said about us that are not true. When people go, oh my God, all gamers are immature, all gamers are hateful, racist, woman-hating people, and the first response you get from a gamer is, some sort of racist joke and some sort of rape joke, the people turn to that gamer and go, see, look, we're right. Right there, and the gamer goes, I'm just joking, I'm just being a troll, I think it's funny, I think you're stupid. And yet again, what's the other side going to go? See, look, we're right. They don't take anything even remotely seriously.
Yeah,
that's one of the issues I've had with Gamergate, since I started getting into it, is that right there.
I think that's a really, 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 really valid point, and I think that is definitely something that needs to be discussed, because like you said, you're absolutely right. Whenever someone who is looking for something to criticize about gamers would say, come and see this chat, they'll see any of these things and think, oh my God, these people are monsters. But the thing is, it's not fair to ask people to not have a sense of humor. And, these things are being said because they're absurd, and that's what makes them funny. Everyone listening knows. Everyone knows. And so it's not fair to say that people aren't allowed to have a laugh and a joke. I mean, there are women in the chat. I've seen them go past, and it's not fair that people can't have fun. Like you say, it doesn't matter whether I want to defend those people or not, because out of context, some social justice warrior is going to come along, look at that, and say, boom, that's the screenshot I need, and then suddenly we're all racist, misogynist, anti-Semites. Yeah. So what can be done? What can we do?
The thing is, the moment you allow it for people to word police you at this level, they're going to put their foot on the door, and then they're going to start word policing you more. For instance, it's established by the mass media now that rape jokes aren't okay because they lead to rape. Like, if I would joke about Brianna Wu, I would normalize her, But the thing is, they take it further. They now say that Vivian James, for instance, is a rape joke, and she should be banned. They are going to constantly push this thing. Like the victim blaming thing. It started like it's wrong to tell a woman that it was her fault she got raped because the way she dressed, right? And that's how it started. But now, apparently, if you tell a woman, you can buy a gun or you can buy some mace, or it's not a good idea to walk alone at 3 a.m., because even I, as a man, don't walk alone, that's also a victim blaming. So they constantly push this political correctness, and if you allow it to sink in, if you allow the word policing, then it's going to go only downhill from that.
I still don't think maybe I'm being completely understood. It's another issue where I just don't like the idea of us self-perpetuating the stereotypes against us. I don't. And as you've said in your videos, V, I'm entitled to my opinion. I'm not going to sit here and tell everybody in the chat what they can and can't say and what they can and can't do. And I'm not even going to do that on the forums, where I do have control over it. I'm still not going to do it, because they are entitled to say whatever they want and believe whatever they want. But my personal opinion is that we are self-perpetuating the stereotypes that are being used against us to defeat all of our arguments and all of our valid criticisms, especially in Gamergate. And I think it's not so much like self-policing or word policing as it is maybe having this air of maturity or this willingness to quote, obviously the feminist is going to hate this statement, be the better man, and sort of, pull back and say, look, we see what you people are saying about us, but we're not gonna justify you. We're not going to respond to you in the way that you say that we're going to respond to you. We're not going to be the stereotype that used to be back when I started gaming of the neckbeard, the fat kid in the parents' basement, those types of things that keep being perpetuated, even though in America the average gamer is a 32-year-old white guy. So it's just, this is the thing that I worry about with Gamergate, because I am, and I will be honest, I'm very much starting to lean like more and more and more and more pro Gamergate every day, even though I'm trying like desperately not to consider myself an official part of the movement, because I'm worried about people considering me biased, therefore forward. I even make that mention in the thread that I posted where I talk about where I'm getting my information from, that some of them are Gamergate related alternate media websites. So people are like, are you pro Gamergate now and therefore biased to only Gamergate like startups? No, I still go to The Escapist, for example, and I just worry about that because
that's also pro Gamergate, by the way.
Yeah, I know, but shut up. I still think it's a valid opinion to be stated that we should all be worried about, and I understand that coming into the situation as late as I'm coming into it, with as little knowledge as I have, and obviously relying on people like Sargon and V and Queenie to bring me up to date and to give me all the relevant information. That maybe people might not be as willing to listen to my opinion or even remotely take me seriously, but I still think it's something we should talk about. That if they're going to continue to use all of this ammunition that we're giving them against us, maybe we should look at that and at giving them that ammunition and be like, you know what, this is not actually who we are as a gaming culture. Now,
just to interject there, just quickly, I actually really support what you've said. Not necessarily that I necessarily agree with it, but your position on it, that's your opinion, but you're not going to force it on people. And it's something that you want to put out for discussion. I think if only we could have more just discussions like this, and just with the major outlets as well, that would be amazing. If they could give their opinion rather than berate their audience, none of this would have happened. None of this would have happened, And I think that there is something valid to what you're saying. I mean, I personally don't tend to play the sort of games and go to the sort of spaces that have the worst of gamer culture in them, because I'm not really interested in that either. I think that what you were saying really is hold yourself to a higher standard.
Yeah.
But
and I personally try to. So, but I don't think that I'm in a position necessarily to judge those who don't. I mean, if they want to do whatever they want to do, and like Dota or whatever, then let them. I'm just not going to be any part of it.
Yeah.
Shouldn't we embrace the fact that the gaming culture is so vast that you have like the underage people that are teabagging in Call of Duty, the trolls that are being vile in League of Legends, but you also have like game developers like Sargon of Akkad, people responsible for a huge gaming community like yourself. People like Christina Hoff Summers, that's also a gamer. I mean, it really depends where you look at and what you're going to find. And at the end of the day, a lot of Americans need to understand that what's offensive for you isn't offensive for the rest of the world. For instance, I have never seen a black person. I said it on my channel. If a black person would come to Romania, people would run in and scream and hide in their homes because they would think like the Russians have invented a new nuclear weapon or something. So I can't be racist like you're trying to be racist towards Eskimos. If you've never seen them, how can you be racist towards them? What have the Inquas done to you,
I also think, like, and I hate using conversational fillers. For some reason, I can't think straight today, and I'm using like way too much.
Don't worry about it, man.
Yeah, I'm human. That people are also I've heard these things about, oh well, they're telling like we have to change for them instead of them having to change for us. Well, actually, yeah, we do. Do you know why I think we do? The same way that you change and adapt to a combat environment or a situation in the military where you have to adapt to a changing environment, because the enemy isn't going to adapt to you. You have to adapt and change to the enemy. And the same sort of situation probably has some merit of at least being warranted and having some discussion within Gamergate of these people that are completely unwilling to hold themselves to a higher standard, to back off the trolling, to back off the jokes that are being used as ammunition to self-perpetuate the stereotypes and used against us, going, oh, well, we shouldn't have to change, they should have to change. Well, guess what? They're not gonna change. They're not going to at all.
But I have a new idea, something even better than that.
Yeah.
Instead of them changing or us changing, why not just make them irrelevant and build our own media where we can go to? Like, Base Gamer just got funded. This is like the best news I think Gamergate ever had. So we're making these alternative medias that in the future might become more popular if we can have a chance. They might get to E3. Publishers are going to give them more attention because they are going to represent gamers far better than what the old media does. And as such, they are going to eventually become irrelevant. The moment publishers don't give them attention and give them the finger, they won't hold any power anymore. That they will be useless. Like people who want to go to Kotaku can go to Kotaku if they so desire to be called the dead and man haters and whatnot. While people that are supporting of Gamergate can, go to Good Gamers US, Based Gamer, Niche Gamer, Tech Raptor, and all the other outlets we've been building.
Yeah. Well, again, it's just opinion. Right? And people saying that you destroy the enemy, you don't concede to the enemy. Adapting to the enemy is not conceding to the enemy. Adapting the enemy is defeating the enemy.
I've got a point there because, I mean, one thing that I don't think I would personally agree to, no matter what they did or said, or no matter what I was slandered with, is saying that people can't make offensive jokes. I know that is something that they are going to go on about. I know it is. But I don't think they should be allowed to tell us what we can't make jokes about. Fuck them, frankly. I would rather them all think whatever they want to think than have to say to people, you know what, we can't have that kind of joke here. I'm not saying you're wrong either. That's the thing, right? This is the thing. It's a difficult subject because you are completely right. They're not going to change, and we should be able to change ourselves to beat them. But if we compromise on certain things, like for example, this then becomes a free speech issue. We are self-censoring.
Yeah.
And just jokes.
It's a good point. Yeah.
But there's also another good point. If like you forbid someone from doing something, they are going to want to do it. For instance, in Iran, dancing is forbidden. And everyone just wants to dance. They do like these nightclubs that are illegal, and people can even go to jail for a lot of time and get beaten just because they're dancing, and they're dancing because it's illegal. So if you would somehow manage to make it illegal to make jokes as a gamer, guess what? People are going to want to do it even more.
Yeah, true. Yeah, all I said was it's an opinion that I have at the moment. And
no, that's the thing. That's the thing. I didn't want to tell you that your opinion's wrong because it's not. That's the reason you hold it is because there is truth to that position. The problem that I have with the opinion, the reason I don't say that that's my opinion as well, is because it conflicts with another issue that I would have with it. But that's not to say that you're wrong and I'm right, because we're not. There's validity to both sides of that argument, I think.
I think the other thing too, not to interrupt, is what I should clarify the stance is the worry moving forward with Gamergate that we should be more willing to adapt in order to make them irrelevant, and that's a little bit more of the clarification on the stance and the opinion is that if they think these things and they say these things and they do these things and they're never going to change, and we change because they won't, then by that definition of changing and adapting to the environment that they're forcing us into, we make them irrelevant, and then we can move forward with being who we really are. It's might come off as something entirely, how do I put it, dishonest, by saying, well, we're only going to change as it suits our needs, and as it suits our needs in defeating the people that we're trying to defeat, and in making them irrelevant. But maybe, from a personal opinion, that might be the best course of action. However, again, I don't speak for anybody other than myself. And if people are telling me that, actually, no, we've tried doing all of this, we just want to be who we are, and we want them to leave us the fuck alone, then that's the prevailing opinion, and I'm pretty much going to go with it. But I only hope that people are at least willing to listen to that side of things and at least spark conversation and go, well, maybe, just maybe, if we did cut back on things, and we did knock the maturity level up, and we did hold ourselves to higher ground and a higher standard, then they wouldn't have any ammunition to use to perpetuate the stereotype. We wouldn't be self-perpetuating the stereotype, and we would make them irrelevant faster.
Oh, they would just make shit up, mate. I mean, look at the misogyny issue in games, right? In my opinion, there's no misogyny in games. I haven't seen any. And they still find it. Like, they find misogyny in Tetris. They managed to find it in Minesweeper. Oh, well, why does Tetris have a line and it resembles a penis? Why doesn't it have, like, this circly thingy that resembles a vagina? Misogyny. Like, they're going to find issues to throw at you.
Well, one thing I'd just like to say is I'm actually not sure that doing what they want makes them irrelevant. I actually think it does the opposite. I've got a funny feeling that if everyone would suddenly do what the social justice warriors want, they would parade this around like a great victory and draw more attention to themselves and make themselves more relevant.
Ah, okay, so, I see. Yeah, that's a very valid point. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I get the feeling you haven't been fighting them as long as we have.
No.
But like the finance capitalists made the project in order to get women into gaming, and you think they would be like all for it, and it turns out that they're not. They were really against it because they hated it. They hated it that they were losing the narrative. They were losing the position of power, because this is what it is in the end, a power trip for them.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It's just a quick thing. The finance capitalists actually were in the chat, and
yes, they are.
Yeah, did you see that they asked to say that they'd be very interested in doing some kind of gaming scholarship with the Angry Joe Army community if you're interested. So
I would like to talk to them. Yes.
Very very nice people. I've had a
conversation with them before,
and they were very cool.
Can you facilitate that, or?
I'm more than happy to if you'd like.
Okay,
I'm sure that we can arrange something.
So, Sargon, may I ask you something really quick? Because
go ahead.
What do you think about the idea that I proposed in order to make an Indiegogo, get a lot of cash, and then use that cash to make Google AdSense advertise about Gamergate and tell the real story?
Well, right, yeah, no, that's a good idea. Because I left a comment on your video because as soon as I saw that, I was having visions of Gama Sutra with their Google AdSense, because they've got Google AdSense on Gama Sutra, haven't they?
Yeah, they've been Pentium on it all the time.
Wouldn't it just be magical to have an advert on Gama Sutra that was just, Leigh Alexander is biased and she has an agenda and she's lying to you according to Leigh Alexander. Click here for more information. I mean, that would be magical, wouldn't it? So,
I had a lot of people coming forward saying that it was a great idea. I believe it made like the second page of Reddit. And I had people that were into PR. I had people that have done this before, and they said, you know what, mate, if you want to do the project, I will back you up. And I told them, you know, I really can't. I don't have the platform. But if Sargon or Mundane Matt would want to go behind it, I would fully direct you to these people, and we could get it started. There's a lot of people interested in donating. And if we can get like a lot of cash, let's say we get like $10,000 or $20,000, we could even put like billboards on, not on the street, but in front of gaming conventions, in front of gaming stores, you know, to attract the gamers. And you could put the Gamers Are Dead articles, and underneath you could put like, do you find this acceptable? Go to www.gamergatewiki.com or something like that, you know.
Well, I think the best thing to do would be having it on their own sites if possible. Obviously, probably very difficult to do, but I would do it by targeted advertising on gaming websites if you could.
Yeah, very much targeted e-advertisements, not stuff in the physical environment, because I don't think that would actually go the way you want it to.
Yeah, I don't think doing it in the physical world would be that useful. But yeah, I would kick in money for that.
No, like if
I would if I had any.
This Indiegogo campaign, I'm sure people will follow it, because it has to be a respectable person that they can trust. You know, I'm a small guy. I don't have that that much people willing to trust me, right? But if it would be like this person, like yourself or someone else, that people will go, yeah, sure, I'll donate to Sargon. He's a trustable person, you know.
I think Mundane Matt would be the person to approach, because he's got good experience with marketing, and crowdfunding campaigns, that sort of thing. That's his.
We can just buy
his area
free
of expertise.
Sorry. Somebody in the chat was like, "We can just buy speech. This is awesome.
Buy speech.
Buy speech until people have to hear us. This is a simple market.
Exactly.
Fucking love it."
The thing with Google AdSense.
Happy to put my money in that. Fucking definitely. Yeah, exactly. And Monday Man, he's the guy who knows this sort of stuff, and I trust him to do it. And so I'll talk to him and see what he thinks, because I personally don't have time to run anything. I'm more than happy to lend my voice to it. More than happy to do that, and I'll kick in money, but I don't have any time to run anything.
Oh, I would kick in money as well. Like the best thing you could do is make a video that would be like 1 minute or maybe 2 minutes long, so that people would get really hyped up about it, and maybe show a bit of Leigh Alexander, because you know how to surprise her in her best moments, so to speak.
She damns herself when she opens her fucking mouth.
She does, doesn't she? You don't even need to make shit up about her. You just show her speaking.
I mean, just the way she's just like, well, I doubled down. I'm biased in everything I do. No pretense of being unbiased. And it's just like, why are you saying that? Why are you saying that on a stage to an audience of people? That is absurd. That should be the end of your career, as a quote-unquote journalist.
There's something that bothers me about that video ever since I saw it, and it doesn't stop. Every time I close my eyes, I keep seeing it. Why is the name tag on her crotch? Why is it on her crotch? Shouldn't the name tag be on the chest?
I have no idea.
Didn't it bother you when you saw it, though?
Yeah. Well, I just, what? Fuck it. It just, whatever. Just she's saying such crazy shit that doesn't even bother me anymore. It's just.
Yeah, I know, but it was distracting. I couldn't listen to the loosey moment of her saying crazy shit because of that.
I know, but yeah, I know that I know there's going to be a certain segment of the audience that's going to be like, oh my god, I can't believe that they're going to try and raise money to do something. But that's fine. I'm not bothered about that.
Who gives a fuck? If they don't like it, they would have to take Google AdSense down from their page. Do you honestly think they would do that? That's probably their biggest income at this point.
Exactly. And I think that buying free speech is a nicely ironic thing for us to have to do, but I think that we can do it. We don't have to. We don't have to fucking spend a lot each. I'm prepared to kick in like $10 or something. If we all did that, we'd be able to buy quite a lot of advertising space for quite some time on selected websites. And wouldn't it just be the funniest thing in the world if we could just, really, just like on Kama Sutra, just all over their fucking Google AdSense and all that, just shut their advertising down so it's all ours.
You could use them on YouTube channels, like when you go to Anita Sarkeesian's FemFreak. Well, no, wait, she doesn't have it. But if you would go to like one of these websites, Kotaku, they have their own YouTube, and before you watch the video, you'd have to watch 5 seconds of Gamergate.
Yeah, because Damion, I don't know whether you're familiar with what various journalists in Kotaku have said. But no. my personal one was, we've never claimed to be unbiased. Being objective is silly.
No, being objective is not silly. Let me respond to that. Being objective is not silly. It's impossible. We're human. However, the journey part of that, the trying to be objective part of that, that's where you stand different from someone else, and that's where I have an issue with Kotaku now, where they say, guess what? We realize that being objective is impossible, like entirely, like there is no such thing as an objective truth, so we're not even going to bother trying. And I have like a massive issue with that. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, go on.
No, you.
Oh, I was going to say, literally, word for word, my complaint about that statement, about objectivity. I was like, look, it doesn't matter if you can't ever actually be objective. I'm never going to actually be fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I still go down the gym. It's the journey that matters. It's the journey and the fact that you try that matters. God damn it. You know, and honestly, exactly what you just said there. It's just like, it doesn't matter if you can never actually be it. You've got to fucking try.
Well, it's just like when I spent time in Japan right after I got out of the Navy, I learned something about the Japanese people, and it was by talking to Japanese people about it in Japan. You know, unlike some other woman who says things about the Japanese people and has never been there. And that the Japanese have this ideology of pursuit of perfection. Doesn't matter that it's entirely unreachable, but the pursuit of perfection, that's what matters. And I think in regards to this situation about objectivity, the pursuit for objectivity, the desire to be as objective as possible, the ability to understand your biases, also tell people truthfully if you are biased or not. You know, having that sort of full disclosure that not a lot of people seem to have in the media right now. And attempting to be as honest, open, transparent, and objective as you possibly can be, that's what we want the last time that I checked. And it doesn't matter if you have biases because you're human. That's okay. We can forgive that, especially if you tell us in advance. Like people made me well aware of when I made mention that my wife was an author and that I didn't, at the time, think I should have to disclose the fact that we were married if I ever went and did a review of one of her books. That sort of a situation, I was probably wrong in making that statement, that, you know, having that disclosure might not be like a legal thing. Like it very much is on Amazon. You can't go on Amazon and do paid reviews. They'll knock you off. But having that ability to be open also, I think, garners you more respect from the people that you're dealing with. So if Kotaku came out and said, look, we're not objective, we can't possibly be objective, but you know what, we're trying anyway, and yeah, we're a little biased, we're sorry, we're human, but you know what, we're going to try our best to be as objective and unbiased as possible, and by the way, here's some transparency and some openness, I think we wouldn't be here, really.
None of this would be... Holy shit! None of this would be happening.
Yeah.
I just don't understand the reasoning behind that. I mean, all they had to do, not even fire the guys in charge. They could have just give Nathan Grayson and the others, just give them like a paid vacation for 2 weeks, and then all of this shit would have blown off. And instead, they decided to protect these people and Zoe Quinn, which is an abuser actually, because. If you look at Tiger Woods, for instance, right, he cheated on his wife and he lost almost his entire fortune and career. While Zoe Quinn, she cheated on her boyfriend, and because of that, everyone is rushing to protect her. And I don't understand why. Like, why do you choose your business over this woman? And
this is the cultural feminist thing, isn't it? You know, it's that they're all social justice warriors. And so, you know, they can't leave another one of themselves out to dry, because that way it compromised them. If they admit that Nathan Grayson's doing something wrong, then they're all going to be looking at each other going, well, we'll do the same thing as Nathan Grayson. I mean, what was the thing from Game Journal Pros list? Well, who hasn't slept with a developer?
Hashtag am I right?
Exactly. Hashtag am I right? Damion, did you know about the Game Journal Pros list?
I haven't slept with a developer. I mean, yet.
Well, there we go. You're not a very good games journalist.
Yeah, you're not a good games journalist. I'm wondering what happens when there's a shortage, when there's not enough male journalists to go around. What do the female game developers do? And what about the female game journalists? Who do they sleep with?
Well, that's the thing, though. The point is, you know, they're all doing it. You know, they're all corrupt, and they all know it, which is why they're not going to leave even some sort of chode like fucking Nathan Grayson. Who the fuck is Nathan Grayson? No one cares about Nathan Grayson. He is worth so little to Kotaku. You know, he is not worth anything to Kotaku. You know, they could fire him and no one would notice. You know, it's not like he's got a massive fan base that's going to be like, oh, well, he's not like Yahtzee from The Escapists, you know?
Yeah.
No one's going to fucking notice if Nathan Grayson gets fired. And yet, you know, they're going to protect him because if they validate it by saying, yeah, okay, Grayson was doing something wrong, that was journalistic impropriety, he has to go, suddenly that principle stands for all of these fuckers on all of these fucking websites. And they've all got to go. by the same standards.
Well,
So,
yeah, but maybe they
that
can
was what-
say, Nathan is doing what we're doing, but he got caught.
That's
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If they fire Grayson, then they've all got to be held to the same standard. And if they're all held to the same standard, they're all fucked. So that's why they're all rallying around Nathan Grayson, for fuck's sake. Of all people. That's why.
Not it.
My child agrees with you. So, God, my freaking fellow commanders are gonna hate me for saying this publicly, but I really am starting to have maybe to admit that I am very much pro Gamergate, whether I want to be admitting it or not. Because the more of the stuff I see from the other side, the more of it just pisses me off, and I'm thinking maybe I should just admit that I'm very much pro Gamergate now, whether I want to admit it or not.
You know what? If anyone disagrees with you, if anyone says that you're doing the wrong thing, dare them to come on Sargon stream or my stream and have a discussion. Just dare them. And if at the end of the discussion they're still anti-Gamergate, then fine. You know what? This guy has convictions.
Well, at the end of the day, mate, the reason that any of us are here doing any of this is because it's exactly the same reasons you're right now. I'm finding myself pro Gamergate. Why is that? Because these people are pissing me off. The things they're doing, the things they're getting away with, it's fucking everyone off. It's wrong.
Yeah, I think, and it's again. I blame thee. I blame you because you won't leave me the fuck alone. I love you, but
and I want to call out some of the people in Gamergate. When I had you on my stream, right?
Yeah.
You triggered some people, and everyone started insulting you. You got the most vile comments whatsoever. And I keep trying to tell this, and I made the video, and I got vile comments. Do not attack moderates, for fuck's sakes. Try to have a normal conversation with them. Try to have a reasonable discussion. Ask them, why do you think that is? What makes you think that? And then provide evidence. And you're going to notice that people are getting swayed. People are going to come to your side if you do that. Well, if you're going to... No. You think rape jokes shouldn't exist? No, you're a social justice warrior. Fuck off. Then you're not going to win hearts and minds with this.
No, you're not, and that's a statement I made to Sargon, that if you want to bring people to your side, there's a certain way to go about doing it. And that way is not, you are not on the same side as me. Here's my sword in your gut, because that happened a long time ago, and look where we are now. So that's not the way to go about it.
Yeah. And the thing is, as well, I think a lot of people assume that. I think a lot of people go at new people who are new to this quite full on, and they've got a wealth of information and a well-rehearsed sort of elevator pitch, where they can get a lot of information compressed in quite a short space of time, and they can get it out and in front very, very quickly. But that's often very, very overwhelming to the people who are receiving it. They're like, well, Jesus Christ, I don't know what's going on. Oh my God! And they're like, I don't know. And they're like, you're not with us. You're against us. And that's not the right way to do anything.
It's never been the right way to do anything.
Exactly. Take it slow. Just literally, just give them a lead. Give them do you think that a games journalist site should be proudly objective or proudly subjective? And they're like, well, I mean, they should be trying to be objective and be proud of that, obviously. It's like, well, Kotaku's not. Should they be openly biased? And so, obviously not. Well, Gama Sutra is. And then they'd be like, well, what the hell's anyone standing for this? And it's like, well, now you understand why Gamergate exists. No one is standing for it, and that's what we're angry about. And it's like, well, it doesn't sound like you hate women then. It's like, well, that's because we don't. And then
you can do what Sargon said in 5 minutes, or you can just show them a picture of Brianna with Patreon, and that convinces everyone right off the bat.
Not so much convinces everybody as makes you... Well, if you're an intelligent person, you see that and go, holy hell, how is that a thing? Yeah. And then you want to investigate. And as I was saying earlier, what V did was the right way to go about it. And it was not so much being inundated with information on day one as it is we had a conversation, we had a discussion that lasted 4 hours, and he showed me things, and then after that he continued to talk to me about things. And even in V, you can back me up on this, even in situations where I didn't know or was still holding to a particular opinion, he was very patient, because you don't know, like, if you come off a certain way to somebody that has an opinion and they're not willing to change it at the moment, that if you come off that way, you definitely solidify the fact that they're never willing to change their opinion moving forward.
Oh, absolutely. If you're patient, not only do you sway people that are neutral, but you also piss off the people that are against you, because they're like, "Oh, why can't I get a reaction out of this guy? Why is he so patient? Why? And you frustrate them.
Yeah.
And I think definitely now I really can get behind this whole thing. I just want people to understand something that I should have said a long time ago. My opinions are my own, and they do not reflect the rest of the Angry Army, okay? So me saying that, yes, okay, fine, I admit it, I'm very much pro-Gamergate, right, does not mean that the AJSA is pro or anti. They do not have a stance, okay? The Angry Army does not have a stance, will never have a stance. Our stance is, we are the Angry Army, we are a gaming community, come play games. That's our stance. And that's the only official stance we're ever going to have. We are the Angry Army, we are a gaming community, come play games.
By the way, about that, you told me that people are worried now that Sargon has an account that, and myself and other people like us, that we're going to co-opt the Angry Joe Show army.
Yeah.
Sargon, are you going to address that?
I have not heard that accusation, but the answer is no. If I do anything on the Angry Joe Show Army forum, it will be talk about video games.
Well, I got that worry from someone else and then passed it on, and I'm not going to say who. And at the time that I got that worry, I was actually mildly in agreement with it, and more than mildly, because it did lead me to think, are these big names that, yes, they're more than welcome to be here, but they're big names, are they going to bring people into the army with them that don't want to be here for any other reason but to cause trouble, one side or the other, and don't want to be a part of a gaming community just simply because it's got Joe's name on it, and Joe is, for lack of a better way of putting it, a part of it, but he's just a sponsor. And I want people to come to the Angry Army that want to be a part of a gaming community, that want to step up, they want to take responsibility, they want to lead events, they want to make friends, they want to support us in doing what we want to do, which is not having an agenda, it's not having one stance one way or the other, it's not being pro or for anything. It's a place where it doesn't matter if you're a mobile gamer, tabletop RPG player, strategy gamer, PC gamer, console gamer, doesn't matter. You can come here, you can make friends, you can play video games, and that's what we do. And that's it. And we don't want anything else. We don't want your religious bullshit. We don't want your political bullshit. We want you to come and talk about gaming and play video games and share ideas about games and do what it is that we should be doing, which is putting the focus on being gamers. And that's the end of it. And I want people to understand that wholeheartedly, that my opinion, yet again, is mine and mine alone. And if people can't understand that, that's not my problem. Come to join the Angry Army.
I think that's incredibly fair. I think that is. I don't see how anyone could possibly object to that. Your opinions are, of course, your opinions. You don't represent anyone else. You are a moderator or a staff admin on the forums, but that doesn't mean that you direct people's engagement on those forums or anything like that. And I completely agree. I've got no intention of trying to co-opt anyone's space. I've got my own space. It's my channel, and I like having it how it is. And I've got no intention of co-opting anyone else's space. I would probably be interested in running some sort of games. I've got a gaming channel of my own, and I would be looking for people to play games with that I can record to put on that channel. So it's something that I may well see if I can do on your site, but I'm not in any way intending on making it Gamergate focused or anything like that. I actually would really like it if I could just play some damn games again. But,
Yeah.
but I think we should leave there because I think it's been a really productive conversation, and I really
so too.
I've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed it, and thanks for Vita coming on as well.
Thank you, mate. One last question. Would you be interested in playing Company of Heroes? It's like medieval Total Warfare, sort of, but it's with World War II.
Maybe. I wouldn't rule it out.
I'd like to see you playing it on your channel. I would really love watching that.
I've send me a link and I'll check it out. I've not seen it. But,
I am going to ask you to. I don't know if this is the correct statement, but I'm going to ask you to show for me. I guess is that the correct statement?
Yeah, no, yeah. Do you want to shill? I've put a link to your gaming channel in the description of this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Navy Rayne, is it?
Yes, that's me.
It's the first link in the video description.
Okay.
And that's. Well, do you want to tell people about that before we go?
For those that are curious about my channel, which Sargon's linked in the video description, it's youtube.com/user/NavyRain. I do 3 series on my channel. I do either, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays are Let's Plays. Thursdays is a series called Rayne's Random Ramblings where I just talk about whatever in gaming. And Fridays is a weekly series called The Strategist where we discuss strategy gaming and show strategy gaming from old school to new stuff. And that's pretty much what I do on my channel. And so, come hang out with me and talk about gaming and all that good stuff. I'd love to have you.
Great. Okay, well, thanks a lot for joining us, guys, and thanks a lot for listening.